What's good, people? What if you found out that one of the biggest female influences in the big crime drama show of Power will come back and return in a new series, Power Origins? Breaking news has just shown that Tasha will return for Power Origins as young actress Zuri Reed. We will actually get young Tasha in Power Origins. That's just remarkable. You know, we can't wait. We're going to break this down, what this means to us in general, where Power Origins plays, explaining what Power Origins really is, and really going on to understand what we'll get in the future. Definitely make sure you subscribe. That's always needed. It's been big news. We found out that Tasha, who was previously acted by Naturi Naughton, in Power will return for Power Origins. And no, we're definitely over the moon. This is something that for me, I'm so excited to see. So Tasha really was the wife of Ghost, acted by Naturi Naughton. And this was such a big, big, big presence in Power. We were getting more of a female perspective in Power. And I think this was one of the most strong female perspective in Power in regards to the actual culture. And I wouldn't even just say just for women alone, but specifically also for black women especially. I feel as though in a lot of these crime drama shows, they show a lot of what men go through, but we really don't get the female perspective as much. And I feel as though Tasha showed that a lot in terms of what she embodied. Having to be the wife of a kingpin, and having to maneuver herself throughout a lot of these seasons. We got 6 seasons, and she showed a big presence in this. And she's still around, funny enough. And the fact that we're going to see her in the actual origins of Power is absolutely amazing. So Zuri Reed will act as this young Tasha. Zuri Reed was a national treasure. This was a recent show on Disney Plus, and she has this huge opportunity now to be Tasha. And just by the looks of her, it's an amazing pick. Tasha is absolutely spot on here, and it really shows and caters to how careful Power Origins have been in picking the right cast members for this by not doing too much, by really making sure that they really hone into the right members. They didn't pick by names, they didn't pick because of status. They really made sure they got the cast right, and we can see this by the fact that they've picked Zuri Reed for Tasha. So what really is Power Origins? Power Origins, as we know, will come straight after Raising Kanan. It really is about the life of Tommy and Ghost growing up, the origins of Power that we know from our favorite characters of Tommy and Ghost. We're going to see the young versions of them. And this is just post Raising Kanan. Kanan has now finally been raised. How that may seem, I don't know, because I don't know what kind of bringing he up, but he's been raised now. And for Power fans, we've known that Kanan really was known to bring Tommy and Ghost in the game. And we're going to finally see that play, finally, in Power Origins. We have the cast of Ghost and Tommy as well. Spencer Moore, who's an All-American, I believe in Creed as well. And also Charlie Mann, who I did recently see in Primate. That was an amazing film, funny enough. And he actually did, he did really good. I actually saw why they've chosen for young Tommy. He has that kind of demeanor about him that I feel will portray in the young Tommy, which is very crucial. Reason why I say this is very crucial and it goes to Spencer Moore too is that these are 2 roles that need to hit the nail so much, because we fell in love with Power because of Ghost and Tommy. And they really have to be spot on for this. And now we have Tasha, we have the full set, the gang. And already, of course, by Mackay Curtis, we have Raising Kanan. That also is a big thing, because we have not completed the full Raising Kanan range. Thus far, we're still trying to understand why Kanan becomes this really big villain. How did he get to this particular point? And it's building, it's still brewing, but we still have some unfinished business. And we know that that's how they'll both tie in. Thus far, what we've seen now is that Breeze has now entered the show for Raising Kanan, and that's going to be very interesting. Now we have Kanan and Breeze. They link up, and we understand how Breeze really helped a lot in terms of the development of Ghost. Breeze is acted by Shamik Moore. We know him from, of course, the Spider-Verse. And now, of course, now that we have Breeze, we'll understand what made Ghost do what he did in terms of betraying Breeze. That was such a big thing in Power. As we find out that Tariq did the same thing that Ghost did. So I think that plays into a lot, That whole theme in general is going to be something that we're going to watch out for in Power Origins. So I think as though they really have to make sure that when it comes to Raising Kanan, they really master that, because that's where we'll eventually get the new characters. I believe at the end we'll finally get you Charlie Man, Shamik Moore, just by the tail end of Raising Kanan. I think they're gonna slowly bring those guys in. I think that'll be very interesting. And I think a lot of fans in general will be waiting to see how that happens. Why? Why is this such a big thing? Why is Tasha in general such a big thing, especially for Zuri Reed to become? One big thing about this is that Tasha really played a big role in Ghost's development. Ghost's ambition. Why Ghost chose to stick to this game, and I feel as though he will be a big drive. And say that the least is the fact that husbands' drives have always been the women in their life. Especially given the fact that as they grow older and as they look to have a family, I really think as though the ambition for Ghost is really going to be bent on, of course, how Tasha is in general. I really think it would be very interesting where they go with this. From what we know, especially in Power, is the fact that Ghost and Tasha set up Kanan. I think maybe we could see that at the tail end of this particular show series. Maybe after a season or two, we might see that. But it really is important that we really understand and they really show the impact of Tasha. We saw that her impact in 6 seasons. We saw how her support or the lack of it for Ghost in terms of what he saw made a lot of big decisions in Power. And it should show in Power Origins. So that's why she plays such a big role. Not only just that is, but also given the fact that, it's not often in such big shows we get such big roles for black women in general. I think that's very important to say the least. I feel as though from a young woman's perspective, this will be so good to see in production, to see this particular character develop, and that dynamic in general between a relationship for a Tasha and a Ghost. What do we see in the future? I really see that hopefully as we tie in Raising Kanan, we should definitely have Power Origins linking up with Raising Kanan. And we'll probably get, I hear they casted 16. If it was up to me, I would do 10. I would do probably 8 episodes. 8 episodes per season. If they've already been casted or they've already been given a green light for a good 16. I feel as though Starz definitely see purpose in this. You can't go wrong with the storytelling. We've already shown this in Raising Kanan. I think this would be good. I think also it'd be interesting to see how this reflects back with, of course, Legacy. From what we saw from Power Force already, which is just finished, they kept on giving us references to the way Kanan, brought them up. And I think that really didn't come, or that really wasn't a big deal until we had Raising Kanan really flourishing and Power Origins being a thing. So I think everything probably will link in a way. At the same time, we should get this show probably right straight after Raising Kanan. So maybe 2027, I see this show coming out. I would say probably 2027 in the summer. And then after that, maybe we will definitely get Power Legacy. So definitely, I think this is how it will fit in. So yeah, I definitely see a good 2 seasons of this will be very, very interesting to say the least. While we'll get Power Legacy as well. Power Legacy will definitely have a few seasons. Power Legacy will be more of the action series. I can see Power Origins being more of a storytelling series. The way Raising Kanan was and the way Power Ghost was. Power Ghost was more of the action series. The Raising Kanan is more of the storytelling. So we will expect this. And I think it's the same for a lot of these shows. You look at Game of Thrones. You have the origins more. Well, I would say Power Origins would be like a Knight of Seven Kingdoms. That's more of a storytelling. While you have like a more action in House of the Dragons. That's what you expect with your Power Legacy. So it's very important to have the identity so that fans know what they're here for. And I feel like when you focus more in one, at least more, it can give more of a feel of what we expect, and it draws into what fan base as well. The youngest people will more or less blend into more of the Power Legacies. They like the guns. They like the flying jets. They like the jumping out of buildings. I think this is more of a matured audience. Raising Kanan was as well, just in terms of people who really love storylines. And I'm not to say that the younger audience don't. The younger audience is definitely going to be full on for this, but I feel as though a more older audience would appreciate the storylines. I don't expect to see young Ghost or young Tommy out here doing 007. That's not what we're here for. So it'll be very interesting to see what we get from this for sure. So really, I really want to know what you guys' take is for Zuri Reed being Tasha. What you guys predict will be the case? How will this go? Definitely, guys, make sure you let that be known in the comments. So guys, definitely make sure also to like, comment, share, and subscribe for much more. Express your entity.